Hey, my name's Jonny Walker and we're here to watch Erzbergrodeo 2015. Erzbergrodeo, which is a race in Austria, 3 days. You've got 2 days of prologue to qualify for the main race, which is a mass start. I think it's 500 riders and you qualify in rows of 50, I think it is. And this is the start. You sat down here and number one, I must have qualified first on the prologue, which is good. This start is horrible. You sat down for about an hour waiting for the race organizer, Karl, to lift the flag, and it's a dead engine start, so if your bike doesn't go, you're not in the race. So over goes the jet and we're off, and you can see Taddy on the inside of me there gets a better start, so I cut in tight and square off, and yeah, we came together at the start just here. I was just out front, so he clipped the back and he was the one that went down, so bit of a shame. Race for him, but it is racing, and I just wanted to get a start because I knew that the dust was going to be like this, so managed to get the start, which makes the job a lot easier. You can only go backwards then, so off the start it's super fast. If you notice, we've got extreme setup, so it kicks a lot, like, because it's so soft, so you have to move your body a lot more to ride the bike. And yeah, this is just the dust behind. So you'll be able to see here how soft the suspension really is, how much it kicks. But it's better to have it soft for the fast stuff because the rest of the race is super technical. So you've got like 15 minutes of the race fast and the rest of the 2 hours is like the gnarliest terrain that you're going to get in a one-day race. So now we go into the rocket ride, which they do a race on here, which is like 4 riders, 4 hills, but you can actually practice on this the day before the race, these 4 hills. So I already had my lines picked out and my bike was working good, so I could just fly up these hills. So this was this is just before Vassaletten, which is like it's called water pipe or something, and you come along the bottom, you turn halfway up the hill this year, and then you have to keep as much momentum as you can to get up the top. If you can see how soft the suspension is, but it works better as stuff like this. And yeah, just keep it pinned all the way to the top. You have a checkpoint here where you have to stop, they scan you in, and then off you go. The guy just wipes my GoPro there. And then now you're on to like some fastish fire roads. Which I was going fast. Maybe it would have been better to go a little bit slow and try and save my tyre, but I was young and wanted to win the race bad, so. Here we are dropping into Baravana, which is usually just drop in and back out, but this time they'd taped some bits off, so it was a bit like a special test, which was quite cool actually. I enjoyed it, because I was doing a lot of British Championships at the time of special tests, so quite enjoyed coming into this little bit. But this hill climb's a difficult one. I ended up going really far wide and then having to come back across, but it's a difficult hill because it's quite long. It doesn't look too long on here, but it's super steep. And if you don't get it right, it's a difficult one to get back down because it's so steep. And this is going into the fuel stop just before machine. So when you get into machine, it's a no help zone. So we're in, I think I had an energy gel, maybe changed my goggles, and straight in. But as soon as I set off here, because we dumped the fuel in so fast, the bike didn't run properly, and it was split. I'd messed the bottom up, so I wanted so much more speed, but couldn't get it because my bike was just spluttering a little bit. But it cleans out later on and managed to, there we go, look, it's firing now. managed to get out of the top no problem. But now it's a lot more difficult now. This is 5 years ago, so now you end up in all the big rocks and they make the race harder every year. So obviously at the time this was very difficult. And I remember just trying not to lose any time. You know, as soon as you get stuck and roll back and have a few attempts, you kind of lose 10 seconds and then 20 seconds. And then by the end of the race, you know, you've lost quite a few minutes. So another checkpoint at the top of the hill, and then into Cuckoo's Nest. I remember this. Kenny, one of the filmers, got to see my bike from the bottom. I felt so bad for him. Like, 'cause I knew how much that must have hurt him, and I knew he'd have to film for the rest of the day. I felt so sorry for him. I asked him if he was all right, and he said yeah, so. But I remember riding off from here, and I felt so bad. I felt horrendous knowing that because I knew that it would hurt. And then, yeah, this is dropping into Karl's Diner. So every year they put like a new descent. And I remember walking this at the time, like the day before or something like that. And I thought, we cannot be going down there. It must be a joke, because it was so steep. But I was like, nah, we can't go down there. So I kind of looked at it, but then that was it. And then when I got there in the race, I couldn't believe it. I actually walked it with Graham, and we were like, nah, it can't be in. And there he is, Graham, coming now. So he's 1 minute 16 down, dropping into Karl's Diner. I wasn't actually thinking of that at this point. All I was trying not to do was kill myself in these massive rocks. Because even that bit there is steep as anything, so... Last thing I wanted to do was go flat out into the bottom rocks. So that was it. I remember stopping here or something and talking to my mechanic at the time, because I had a problem with the radiator. It wasn't working. Not the radiator, sorry. The fan wasn't working on the radiator. So my bike was getting super hot. You can kind of tell by the exhaust how blue it is that it's not running right. And I made a little bit of a mistake here. I dropped down too far. I had walked it before, but you know, when you're in the race, it's difficult to stay where you want to be there. You can see Graham there. He's not far behind. He's actually closing on me, look. That's his strong point. He's so good in the rocks. So I remember trying to just concentrate doing my own thing, try and ride smooth and not make too many mistakes. And look after the bike was the main thing, because I knew that it was going to be a struggle to get it to the finish. But I remember this race being so hot. You can tell how dry it was early on, that it was a super hot race. And I remember someone was there, told me like I needed to ice bath before the race and stuff like that to try and keep my core body temperature down. So I was doing that, and yeah, just trying to stay as cool, because in Karl's Diner you're just in the sun. It doesn't actually look that sunny, but I remember it being so hot in here. And yeah, I'm just trying to make time, just keep it smooth. Try not to drop in any holes and save as much energy as possible. But then this is where we're trying with the fan, because it's not working. So, yeah, to be honest, I wish Karl's Diner was like this now, because it's so much easier then than it is now. But then I guess we'll look back in another 5 years at now and say, yeah, it was easy then. And you can see Gomez in the background as well, just cruising through, keeping good momentum. Feet off, just try to make a path. It's always better like if you're like 4th or 5th, because people always find out where the holes are in the rocks. Or you can tell someone like, oh, that bit's going to be difficult further up here. And you can kind of follow. There'll be a few marks on the rocks where you can follow where to go, tyre marks or where your pegs have been. You can see how hot my bike is there. It's like a kettle boiling. I don't know if I'm still in front of Graham at this point or not. I think I maybe did stay just in front of him to get out at Karl's diner. That was one of our sponsors at the time, Neil, pouring some water down my back. Much needed. But like, I just remember how hot it was. So here's me and Graham riding together, and then I made that mistake then, and I put a hole in my radiator, and that's when I actually thought, I'm out of the race now. And it was so steep. I remember trying to pick my bike up, and it was so heavy. And I was actually emptying my camel pack, squirted my camel pack onto my radiator to try and cool it down. And I filled it up a few times actually. So all I wanted to do now was just try and get it to the finish and stay on a podium position. And Gomez was riding really good that year. But you can see there, see how that tree was broken off. That won't have been there. The guy will have just done it in the morning, the organiser, when he's marking the track out, because they don't mark it too far in advance. And then this is downtown, so I was just getting some water off someone then in my radiator, so then I could carry on. And I didn't really know who was in fourth, but when I came around this corner and I seen them two helping each other, I was like, what is going on here? I didn't know if they were going to help me or what we were going to do, so my goal was just to get to them and try and pass them if I could. But I remember to get to them was an absolute mission. It looked not too bad to ride. It was super steep, but it didn't look that difficult to ride. But every time you set off, you just sunk into the ground. So I just tried to get up to them. I thought if I get to them, then I can join in and try and help them and get on the train of helping each other. Or if not, try and ride round them, and then they've got to pull me up. This is Graham. Graham loves this. Watch his attempt of pulling. Look. He just he just doesn't pull. I remember like shouting at him like, what are you doing? Because he was never pulling. I think he was just trying to save his energy, or he was done that he didn't have any energy left. This is where I was trying to have a joke with him to make him smile. I don't know what I was saying to him, but I remember getting here and no one had rid it. Like, that's one of the things with this race, with Erzberg. Nobody rides a track before. And they just put sections in like this that nobody's ridden, so it's brand new. And it's like neutral terrain. So there's Gomez saying like, I can't. Someone had a strap, so they gave us like some rope to pull up. And I remember just trying to pull, and even pulling, like two of us pulling the bike, it wasn't going anywhere. And I think Graham's taking his cheek pads out of his helmet there by the looks of it. See how loose his helmet is? I haven't actually watched this back since 2015. I don't even think I watched it back then though, so probably just in the highlights. There's Letty showing us what he thinks of this bit of the track. And I guess he had to get to the point where we all got to and then started pulling each other. So we do little bits at a time. It did actually get easier. Like, so once Gomez had got up, then Graham had got up. It did get easier. So this was just like a little mothers meeting now, deciding what we were going to do. But I remember being here and like being absolutely destroyed, and then having to, instead of just getting up at once, you had to go walk up, back down, walk up, back down. So it's probably one of the hardest things we've done. You can kind of tell how everyone's sweating, even like people that aren't even in the race, they're that hot. But this drink of Red Bull that I was about to have now is the best. I remember it being the best tasting drink ever. You can kind of tell here on Graham's bike how slippy it is. Back wheel just slipping, spinning, and he's getting pulled. So that shows how steep it is. So we did that up, down 4 times, pulling bikes up. This is when Letty decided to retire, I think. He's like, what are we doing? And then it was my turn to get pulled up. I think Letty on his bike's behind. You can kind of see I've got loads of rips in my top to try and keep as cool as possible, but we're all absolutely soaking because we're all throwing water down our backs and that to try and just keep cool because it was so hot. Even when you got to the top of here, it's still not flat, but to get out was an absolute mission still. I remember getting to here, and then when they unclipped me, I pretended to set off dead fast, thinking it was funny. And they're all shouting at me. And then this is where we were all told to ride to the finish together. And they took out dynamite. Is it dynamite? I think it was. So we would just cruise to the finish. They still left in a few bits, but there's an actual time limit that you've got to finish Erzberg. I think it's 3 hours or 4 hours, and we'd been in there that long that, you know, it was getting close to the time. Even when we were getting to the finish, it was super close. So these are just some pretty basic hills, but it was literally, we were just riding around with our mates at the finish. It was quite a cool, quite a funny day out actually, riding to the finish. Is this Three Kings? So this is quite a long hill climb. So that's a difficult hill, it's so long. I think it's like 20 seconds long or even more. But it's nice to see like the fans and that were still there, cheering us on after all what's happened. So now we're just waving, because there's nothing else to do. Could have done a wheelie or something. Some randomers on bikes there coming the other way. So yeah, we're still cruising into the finish. Gomez is out front. And this is the slowest I think we've ever come into the finish of Erzberg when you're in the lead. So, but we didn't really know what to expect when we came into the finish, because obviously people have been watching it and, you know, do they want 4 finishes or do they want 1? I'm sure I'd rather finish on my own first. So this is coming in, so we've got 4 minutes till the cut-off time. So if no one had finished by then there would have been no finishes. So here's Gomez to the finish. Karl pointing his finger, I don't really know what at. And there's the mountain in the background. It's a crazy mountain. If you ever get a chance, you should definitely go and watch it live. And then me. Letty coming in. It was quite cool to all finish together because we had all helped each other. But then, obviously, it's something everyone wants to finish on their own in first. So nice to see the fans out, everyone out there cheering us on. And it was probably one of the hardest days. Well, it definitely was the most physical Erzberg I've ever done, having to push up and down that hill. And the longest by far, because I've done it, I think I finished one year when I won in 1 hour 30, so this up to 3 hours was a close one. There's some little fans, legends, and the rock that I never got one of them actually. Might have to get on to Karl, but anyways, thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully we can be back there 2021 and race again.